moving to my next question is that variance analysis, it's a very simple tool that we use to monitor budgets. Okay, so I wanted to know whether the same principle is used, replacing the budget numbers by specific performance standards and indicators to monitor and analyze training needs. In your experience, how may this be done?
Okay. So just to add on to your question, and the question around data collection, I think in my experience, organizations, especially HR function in large organizations, the medium-scale organizations, are very robust in collecting this data. I think the only trick would be, how do you then get all this data, make sense out of this data, flow this data, categorize it, and then create a larger plan? And are we consciously and intentionally, doing this? Coming back to your next question, which was around the variance analysis, and how do we use the same principle to replace budget numbers with specific performance standards and indicators? If I understand your question right, you're asking how can one look at measuring the gaps in performance through various measures, and can that feed into your LNA?
Yes.
Yeah. Organizations do this through a process called competency mapping. Now, in this, each role has a defined set of competencies. So, if you are, let's say, a HR business partner, then you will have to have a good understanding of the business. Now, that's one competency. You should have good communication skills, you have good influencing skills. So, you have a defined set of competencies, and each competency is measured against levels. So, if you are a business partner for, let's say, 300 folks, you should have an understanding of a business. That particular competency should be at a level 3. Now, this level 3 could be any kind of a measure. It could be called, some organizations say level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. There is novice, intermediate, advanced, expert. So, these levels are actually well-described progressions and growth in that particular respective competency. Now, during performance reviews, what happens is the individual performances are measured against these competencies, and gaps are identified. Now, that data flows into an individual's development plan. An organization specifically looks for an individual development plan at the end of its performance appraisal. So you have, let's say, negotiating skills. Then I say, okay, you should be at a level, you should be at a very advanced level. However, from your performance and the way you perform in the last 6 months, so you're just only at an intermediate level. So there is a gap for you to have to up your negotiation skills or your influencing skills or whatever. That goes into a part of your individual development plan. The performance standards are really indicators. They are indicators and measures of a specific outcome. For example, customer satisfaction is a performance indicator. Quality of code written is another indicator. Now, measuring these indicators usually helps you understanding the effectiveness of your learning programs. But are they good indicators of what exactly is the training program that needs to be given for a particular individual? May or may not be. For example, if you say my performance rating was 2.5 on a scale of 4, and you have certain competencies in your performance and you're measured against it, and they say there are these gaps. Now, can I just use this data just like that? Now, in my point of view, using these performance measures might not really be a complete picture. These are only indicators of how the performance of a person's performance has been, and his performance could be affected by many factors. It could be anywhere from saying a role fitment issue, to a personal stress issue, to a lack of interest in the project, bad managers, interpersonal issues, or it could simply be fatigue. So a person's performance indicates only his performance and need not essentially be a complete picture of whether the person has capability or the right kind of capabilities. It's possible that he could have had great capabilities. It could simply have been that he was not interested. Or it could have simply been that he was just fatigued. He just had been doing projects after project and he's probably at the burnout stage. It could be that he's just got a bad manager and delegation is not working. So a performance measure cannot really be a complete picture of what kind of training needs to be given for that particular person. However, performance measures are good checkpoints to see if your learning program is really worked or not. You say, hey, this guy needs to improve his negotiation skills. He's a sales guy, and has his performance really improved because of a such program that you had given him? It's possible a good checkpoint for you to see whether it's affected performance or not. But then again, you will never needs to have a trade-off because there's a lot of subjective element that goes into some of these things.